How's it going, YouTube? We are back. Lately, we have been doing some kind of throwback content, list positions for baseball. We did a news video most recently, and now we're gonna go and do something new here. I'm gonna do my top 10 pound for pound for boxing based on the Ring's top 10 pound for pound boxing. So for me, at number 10, I'm gonna have Kazuto Ioka as well. I don't know too much about Kazuto Ioka, if I'm being honest, but I haven't really seen him on any other pound for pound list other than the Rings. Not to say that he isn't an extremely talented boxer, and I'd have to do some research for sure, but I just don't see him getting any higher than that when based on other pound for pound lists for reference that he is not on there. You could have put a lot of guys like somebody like Oscar Valdez, who just beat Miguel Burchell. You could have put somebody in the 130 pound division, maybe another super middleweight, maybe Joshua Fury. These are all guys that could deserve a spot in that top 10 for sure. So Ioka stays at number 10 for me. This is where, this list is, obviously it's the best fighters in the world. So making a list full of, based on the weight divisions is extremely difficult. And this is another guy that I've seen a lot of hype for, but not exactly the resume to demand a top 4 spot. And that's Alexander Usyk. Somebody who is highly feared in the heavyweight division, and somebody who looks like he could be on a collision course to fight the big dogs like Joshua and Fury, maybe Wilder or Ruiz, based on what happens with them in their next fights. But for me, Usyk is nothing but hype right now for me. I haven't seen him fight. All I see is talk for him. Not a lot of fights on his resume, but a lot of power and a lot of talent equals a high ranking on a list for you. And number 8 for me is Juan Francisco Estrada. Basically, for me, it's because I think he didn't win the fight against Roman Gonzalez most recently. I thought Chocolatito had won that fight. And he's another guy that could be considered for this list as well. Had he won that fight, he probably doesn't end up on this list. The scorecards didn't go his way, but the fight was talented, and it looks like they're going to do it a third time eventually. 7. We're going to put Josh Taylor here. Fights Jose Ramirez towards the end of May. And Jose Ramirez, if he wins this fight, likely jumps up to take that 7th spot. Another extremely talented fighter. Both of them are. It's going to be a very, very entertaining fight. My thoughts on the two are really very high. What happens in their upcoming fight will probably determine how much higher he goes, as well as whether or not he falls off this top 10 list. Right now we're going to go Vasily Lomachenko. He's probably my favorite boxers right now. He's so fluid and he's smooth, and whenever somebody's fighting him, it's like they're fighting a ghost, because he changes the angles on you and hits you from places that you've never been hit before, with power, with speed, hard to hit, great counter puncher. The only problem with him is he's a late starter in fights, and I think if he would have started 2 rounds earlier, he would have beaten Teofimo Lopez, and that really cost him. Waiting so long to get going really, really cost him in that fight. I feel like I'm missing somebody here. Maybe not. Right now we're gonna go Teofimo. For the sole purposes that he did beat Lomachenko, he does hold the belt at 135. the division goes through him pretty much right now. He's fighting George Kambosos sometime soon, and I don't think he should have a problem with Kambosos at all. I don't think he'll have a problem with Haney either if they fight. I think his biggest problem right now would be Lomachenko again. If they were to meet up again in the ring, I think Lomachenko starts a little bit sooner and manages to win this fight. Number 4. That would mean Errol Spence. Another extremely gifted defensive fighter. He can stick and move. He's got a good jab. He can put you down if you're not cautious about walking yourself in to those straight jabs and the strong right hand that he has. The only problem I have with Errol Spence is the fact that he's not fighting Terence Crawford. He's asking for a ton of the money. And right now, Terence Crawford is higher on my list. He's higher on the Ring's list. He's higher on ESPN's list. So if the guy that's lower on the list is asking for more money from the guy that's higher on the list, it just doesn't really make too much sense. It makes it sound like he doesn't want to fight him or that he is scared to fight him, which is reasonable, I guess, because Terence Crawford is a pretty bad man. I'm not gonna lie. 3, I'm gonna put the Japanese monster Naoya Inoue. If you've never seen him before, he's kind of a little-known name. If you're pretty new to boxing or you watch boxing casually, he's very, very, very little known, but the man can fight. That dude is insane. He has so much power, and he just looks like he was built to do what he's doing right now, and that's win fights and knock people out. Really entertaining to watch. The guy is so good. If you haven't seen him before, look him up and watch some of his highlights because he can box. And then number 2, we got Terence Crawford. He's the top of a lot of people's pound-for-pound lists, especially ESPN's, but I think ESPN's pound-for-pound list tends to be a little bit biased towards people who fight with Top Rank. That's why I use The Ring, because The Ring is kind of their own independent boxing website. Terence Crawford, for me, Terence Crawford hasn't really wowed me yet. He just wins fights in spectacular fashion. Nobody's really come close to beating him, but I believe his last fight was against Kell Brook, and I think Kell Brook was actually winning the fight on my cards until Terence Crawford managed to knock him out. But it was such a sneaky and quick knockout that I was kind of sitting there like, what just happened? And when a fighter gets you to say what just happened, something amazing just happened in the ring, and you have to watch 3 or 4 times to truly understand the greatness that is what just happened. And Terence Crawford is a great fighter. I would love to see him fight Errol Spence, and that would be really a career-defining fight for him, a fight against Errol Spence if he were to win. If he were to lose, you know, he's still a great fighter, but is he among one of the greats at 147? You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying. And then number 1, I left it the same. Canelo Alvarez. Canelo gets a lot of flack about taking easy fights, but if you look at the resume that he has put together in his career as a fighter, he's 30 years old and he's fought 15 champions, I believe. If he fights Billy Joe Saunders, that'll be number 16. If he beats Billy Joe Saunders, that's number 15 that he beats because he lost to Floyd Mayweather. The one blemish on his record is a loss to Floyd Mayweather when he was probably too young for that fight, a little bit too green. And had he fought Cotto and Lara before that, maybe the fight is a little bit different. Right now in boxing, I don't think there's anybody in that division that can keep up with him. David Benavidez is a good, talented super middleweight, but he's a little bit too raw and rough around the edges to really give Canelo too much of a trouble. He's long and lanky, and he has power, but there's nobody that I think could really hurt Canelo if Triple G couldn't hurt him in their 2 fights. There's nobody that can really strike fear into him if Triple G couldn't strike fear into him. So it's just David Benavidez is walking everybody down and just crushing them. In his last fight, he went 11 rounds with a fighter he probably should have put away sooner. I really like David Benavidez, but I just don't think that he can beat Canelo. Billy Joe Saunders, they're supposed to fight in May. I think he can frustrate Canelo being a southpaw that's evasive, but I think he has the flu or something right now because they're even talking about him not being able to make it in May, which would mean a fight with Benavidez would be probably imminent. Caleb Plant is another guy that's defensively gifted. I just don't think he has the power to really scare Canelo into fighting cautiously. He's evasive and he has a good jab, but I just don't think there's anybody in that division can really throw Canelo off of his game. That's good. That's what it takes to beat him, and that's why Floyd was able to beat him. He threw Canelo off his game. He wasn't getting hit. Canelo was looking for a big shot, and he could never find that big shot. And Floyd was just hitting him and moving, hitting him and moving, hitting him and moving, and it really frustrated Canelo. And it really was a heavily decisive win for Floyd Mayweather, and in a fight that was probably a little bit too soon for Canelo. But that's gonna do it for this pound for pound list. If you guys enjoy boxing content, let me know, because I really enjoy watching boxing and I like making content that I like to watch. So if you guys want more stuff like this, leave a like and subscribe. Comment what other boxing lists you want to see. If you guys want to see pound for pounds for individual divisions, stuff like that, predictions for fights, anything like that, let me know. I'll see you guys next time.